Hello everyone, my name is Loco, and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a best of 3 series of Zerg versus Terran, where in the top left hand corner of Persephone, we have none other than ByuN, and his opponent down in the bottom left. We're looking inside of the main base of Rouge. At least that's how a lot of people in the comments section keep spelling his username. To be fair, rogue is a bit of a weird word. Like, the spelling of it, I don't know what the origins of the word rogue are. Maybe he can, like, change his username to scoundrel. Actually, you can very easily typo that one as well, I suppose. Anyway, it's time for a Zerg versus Terran. Assassin. I know how to spell assassin, because that one's pretty easy to remember. It's just, you know, ass. And anyways, it's going to be a hatchery first right here from Rogue. Barracks into command center will likely be for ByuN. I haven't actually seen too many TVZs lately. It's very funny because at the Esports World Cup, it was a very common matchup. We saw a ton of it. But across the board, lately, it seems like a lot of the Zerg players have been chilling a little bit more. I've been watching quite a few of, I guess, the Rainer versus Clem games. For some reason, they faced off against each other like a half dozen times over the last month or so. But they were also off-racing a bunch, and they were playing like the opposing player's race. Just a straight-up good old TVZ. Well, we haven't had too many of those over the last month or so. So let's see. What can we do at the absolute highest level? Rogue, of course, a man who's capable of doing a little bit of everything. He can do, you know, 2-base Mutas. That's what he's been playing a little bit again as of late. He can go very quick roaches. He can do like Lingbane into Ultra. He can do a Knight as all-in. He can do a Queen drop. And I feel like that's exactly the strength of Rogue. Even though there's not like really like one go-to S-tier build right now for Zerg in this matchup, Rogue has about a half dozen builds that he likes to go for all of the time, and probably about 2 dozen additional builds that are also quite good that he plays some of the time. And it's difficult for somebody like ByuN to really face off against, right? So ByuN can, of course, go into mech if he wants to. Cyclones are very popular. But across the board, he's more of like a bio guy. I see him play mostly marine-based armies. And that is something that Rogue does have a really good answer for in general. Now, it's going to be a triple command center start here eventually. ByuN opting to go for the starport first, but we should see a command center added in just a moment. This is actually a little out of the ordinary these days. Most of the time in the current meta, Terrans will go for the 3rd command center before the starport. And of course, this automatically means that if that was a reliable choice, that now ByuN needs to go and do something. He needs to go and do something to make sure that he does not fall behind against a, well, normal Zerg strategy. And for now, that's exactly what's going on right here for Rogue. Not really going for anything too weird. Reaper Scout now confirms it as well. Now, that's a very curious creep tumor positioning. ByuN is, of course, known for his early game unit control, so I guess he really does not want to lose the creep tumor. And I guess you can probably spread it this way. Yeah, quite nicely. We'll have to keep an eye out on exactly where this one spreads, actually. This is a map, of course, that has now been around for a while. Yeah, I guess you can spread it all the way over here to the 3rd base. And the odds of it staying alive, quite good. You don't really expect that as a Terran player too much. Oh, no, he's gonna... What? Really? Okay, that's a little weird to me. Either way, yeah, the dancing here has been good enough for the Zerg player. ByuN trying his best to get some real damage done, doesn't really achieve that goal. At the same time, a group of Zerglings does seem to sneak around the side. But them being out onto the map is gonna give Rogue the information that indeed this has been... What? No way! ByuN just threaded the needle. He doesn't even know. Oh, well. Even though he's gone for the seamstress opener here... He somehow, some way has avoided all detection, and he is going to be able to arrive on the other side of the map completely unscouted. So this is about the best case scenario if you are a liberator. How much damage is it going to be able to deal, though, right? Like, that's always the question. 1 drone? Okay. Wow. The main strength here is the lost mining time. So the queens are trying to get back into the main again. How about we just put the drones over here? Okay, one queen. I feel like one of the shots right there of the Liberator disappeared. Okay. Still not a bad spot, though, for ByuN, right? I think this sort of justifies the late... third base, which we aren't even making. So this is a triple gas follow-up right now from ByuN, who's effectively going for a 2-base all-in. Now, 2-base all-ins in this matchup haven't been popular in about a decade. I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm not. Like, triple build or triple command center builds have been the absolute gold standard for a very long time now. So we'll see if ByuN can maybe catch his opponent off guard a little bit. There's a very real chance, yeah, Rogue is playing under the assumption that there is a third command center out there somewhere. Small group of Marines have been denying any sort of Overlord scouting, and yeah, he's been trying to figure out roughly what's happening. He has seen the extra barracks there. He's double expanding, by the way, so 2 4th bases. But ByuN needs to get damage done here very, very soon in order to justify this, because even though he did deny the mining there from the Zerg for a little while, look at this. Every minute that goes by right now, Rogue is getting probably about 800 or so resources more. So ByuN needs to make up for that really soon. The creep spread has been good. Stimpack is done. +1 infantry attacks is done too. Let's see how much damage ByuN can deal with this 2-base all-in. Very odd to see this again. I mean, you can knock down the rocks. Congratulations. Bunch of banelings are coming up. Yeah, he wants to deny the full surround, I suppose, but Rogue is just here to buy time. He knows he's got the eco lead. Nice transfusion right over there. Zerglings are taking the long road all the way around, but I think this is good enough. Nice targeting there by ByuN, but I mean... Nah. And you can kind of tell, right, why we don't really see these sort of openers anymore. Keep in mind that Rogue made 2 additional bases. He doesn't need either of them. He's totally fine with just 3 bases here. But he got away with spending another, well, significant amount of resources on things that are not really even that useful for him. The clock is ticking, though, for ByuN, because Baneling speed is just seconds away from being finished. And I think you have to go and well, reorganize this attack. There's really no way that you can... Rogue doesn't care about that base. There's really no way you're going to be able to win with this. Like, this was originally meant to be an attack to win the game with, and now it's turning into a base that we have sniped in the bottom right-hand corner, and that's nice and all. But I don't know if it's good enough. Then again, though, these traits are all extremely effective. 10 queens are pretty deep off creep. Takes a while for them to get back up, okay? Maybe ByuN could have capitalized on that. I'm not exactly sure. Adding on an armory right now, too. So ByuN can sustain this for about another minute or two. In about a minute or two, ByuN's economy is going to start taking a nosedive. Mostly because the main base is running out of cash. Because the natural was so fast as well, it's not going to be far behind it. So all Rogue really needs to do is stay alive. Which is a strategy I've been employing in real life as well now for 30 plus years. Quite successfully, might I add. Maybe. Yeah, the siege tank over here is nice and all, but again, this is not a base that really even matters much to Rogue. I'm surprised with how good this is still actually looking, though, for ByuN. I was convinced that after the first wave did not really do that much, that he probably should have just gone back to the drawing board right then and there. Okay, now this is lovely. Rogue intercepting a bunch of the reinforcing units. 2-2, by the way, is going to finish up as well here for the Zerg. Fights off creep, though, are looking way better, right, for Terran. Yeah, Rogue apparently now content with just drawing these units all the way back home. Getting another siege tank would be lovely. Sorry about that, man. The supply depot just got raced. No way for you to get back in. Man, Burrow would have been really good to have as well. If he had Burrow and he could burrow a bunch of the units. Yeah. All right. +2 ground is already done here for Rogue. He's going to get the wraparound. And I think that's game over. As nice as this early game has been from ByuN, and as strong as it would be against people below the absolute highest level, Rogue is not somebody that will ever just go down without a fight. And the thing about this whole strategy, right, is that it doesn't really require any adjustments here from Rogue. Like, he was not prepared for this, but just like his normal strategy, his go-to build order, did just fine against this. If he would have gone for a slightly more dedicated counter, I think ByuN would have been in a... yeah, he would have already died. I mean, Burrow here on Banelings, for example, would be super powerful. I think that's the plan. Nice attempt, at least on the right. What about the Banelings on the left, though? Maybe this game can end with some fireworks? 5th hatchery coming up. Main base, by the way, half of the mineral fields have now disappeared. Natural expansion is not going to be far behind. Only about 100 minerals remaining in most of the skinny ones. Oh! It's a disaster. Absolute disaster. I don't know if ByuN saw, because he was busy microing over here, getting a few of the queens sniped. He probably wonders where the half of his army went. I don't know if he noticed. But Rogue has been playing this out like an absolute master. Or a grandmaster, I guess, would be more appropriate. We do decide to go for the engagement off creep. Banelings into a siege tank. This is the Zerg equivalent of him shouting, "Get off my lawn and get out of my game." ByuN does still have a power spike coming with +2/+2. I don't really understand how he managed to afford that. I also don't quite understand how ByuN has nearly 2,000 resources in the bank. Anyways, supply depot is down, and Rogue is taking that as an invitation to move into the natural expansion of the Terran player. GG is cold. There it is. Rogue wins game number 1. Next up, we find ourselves on Tokamak. ByuN making the best of a pretty terrible strategy. Like, I think his execution was probably across the board better than Rogue's execution was. Other than near the very tail end of the game, where for some reason he was starting to slip up in macro quite a bit. But I think that was mostly just him being a little bit frustrated and just sort of processing the loss. I think he was already mentally checked out there for the last minute or so of that particular game. But even though Rogue was playing a very greedy style, and even though Rogue didn't scout it, and even though Rogue really wasn't prepared for it at all, he still dealt with it just fine, right? And that's the real problem with that build order. Oh my god. That's the real problem with that build order. Even in the best case scenario, it still didn't work. Now, this particular series was played during the Wardy Summer Championships. Quite a significant prize pool on the line here. So not usually the time to really start clowning around. But apparently ByuN disagrees. We're gonna go for the triple Proxy Rex right over here in the middle of the map. Overlord Scout is dangerously close, but with the current pathing, Rogue is not gonna see. Nope. He is not going to see. Alright. And that means that life can become a little bit of a disaster. ByuN is effectively putting it all on the line right here by going for the, well, the triple proxy, right? He will probably try to build some bunkers and all the rest of it. But he needs to not be spotted, and he's, well, already gotten away with it. Rogue is gonna see it right now for the first time. And this is a moment when you realize, okay, life's a bit troublesome. He needs to save that Overlord, but already, yeah, the boys are pulled. It's critical for Rogue to hold on before this really lays eggs. The gas mining has been useless. Nice kill so far, though, on that bunker. Really just trying to deny it, but so much lost mining time, of course, here for Rogue as well, right? If he had, well, Zergling speed researching in the meantime, at the very least, you would be buying time for something. Right now, he's mostly just trying to buy time for the Queen to come out and for the Spinecrawler to finish. And so far, honestly, the micro here from Zerg has been really good. But the Marine production is gonna get out of control really fast. He does have some of the units cornered. Okay, a bunch of the Zerglings going in around the site. I really don't like ByuN going up against the gas geyser here. Don't see why he would micro in that direction when the real strength is stutter stepping. Yeah. I mean, 10 drones down is good enough for ByuN, but I really don't like that execution. Okay. In the meantime, we have a command center building right over here out in the open. Double gas is well coming up, and the barracks have decided to fly back home. Well, at least 2 of them have. ByuN has been probably counting kills on his Marines, and he realizes, okay, the situation's good enough. The situation is good enough, at least for now. He'll bring that barracks close to snipe an Overlord or 2. I'm sorry, Eddie. Eddie the Overlord is dead. He doesn't know it yet, though. Surprise, mother... Okay, there you go. The Zerglings want to get revenge. You know what? Revenge for Eddie. Oh, we go to another corner. I mean, against the Lings, it makes a little bit more sense. Oh, no. Is the command center gonna finish? If the command center does not finish... Oh, that's a disaster. Remove the scaffolding, SCV! It's pretty much done! Just take down the scaffolding! Now it's your turn, apparently, to pull the boys. Why didn't we just make it in the main base? Your command centers fly, dude. Okay, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. We just made it a little bit harder than it needs to be. But ultimately, he gets the job done. Now, ByuN is doing the most greedy follow-up to the most greedy early game. And that is with triple command center. So we went triple proxy racks into triple command center at home. A lot of additional links are going across the map. I don't really see exactly what the plan is here from Rogue. He doesn't have a baneling nest, nor does he have additional mining. So I guess the build order is to wait until Terran goes down to the low ground and then try to surround him. Yeah, that's the strategy right now. It will only work if Rogue can get into the main base. If he can get into the main base, and that's my main concern here. If he can get into the main base, then this is going to be a really nice setup for him. But as it is right now, I'm a little bit concerned. He still has not really added on any additional drones for the last few minutes. He's just pretending like, hey, these are the only Zerglings I have. Haha, look at my dozen Zerglings. Ha, surprise! Yeah, okay. Okay, well, that was the defense right there. Yeah, raising the supply depot was all you needed to do. Well, maybe also raise the orbital. Double engineering bay in the meantime goes down right here for ByuN. Rogue is in an absolute world of trouble. It's not really reflected yet in the supply count. But it won't be long until Zerg is gonna just start falling apart. Maybe though. We're gonna try and race the depot. Yeah, we're gonna try and go in for wave number 2. SCV little bit of spasming out on the ramp, but... Or on the high ground, rather. That was still 8 SCVs going down. How in the world do we still lose 8 SCVs there? Yeah, I guess ByuN already had 16 in the natural or in the main base, so he's just rallying everything to the natural from here. Fair enough. Now that the low ground, though, has been secured, I feel like ByuN is making these games very hard on himself. The Marine micro, then the SCV pool over here. All feels a little unnecessary to me. And then the 2-base extended all in the previous game. Yeah, fair enough. Ultimately, as the dust settles, this is still a fantastic spot here for the Terran. I guess the next line of attack would be with Stimpack, Combat Shields, and +1, right? +1/+1, actually, in this particular instance. Double Engineering Bay, extremely good. Yeah, Stimpack is already done, so... He could go for a move out, I guess, as soon as Medivacs are out. Starts them up right now. Still, this is going to allow a lot of time right now for Rogue to just sort of do whatever he likes. And all Rogue has been doing over the last few minutes, ever since those Zerglings have gone home, is make economy and tech. I don't think he's made a single unit that can actually be used defensively. No Spine Crawler anymore, I mean, other than the one that he made early. No Spore Crawlers, no Roach Warren. 0 safety precautions. This is Rogue desperately trying to play catch-up. Let's see if he can get the job done. This is going to be a really nice attack, though, here for ByuN, I think. Yeah. Lots of unit production. Upgrades are going to kick in right as he gets across the map. Pretty much perfectly lined up together. And now, those Terran units are powerful. If you can get a kill on the third, that would be absolutely massive. Not easily done. Early stim. Gets a few Overlord kills. Immediately supply blocking the Zerg. Quite like that. And Rogue sees this army. Knows he's not going to be able to deal with it. So he decides to tap out right away. Okay. Next up. We find ourselves on torches. ByuN playing a very high risk, very high reward style thus far. What do we go for right here on this map? I mean, this is of course the map with the gold base. With the healing shrine, even though it doesn't really come into play very frequently. We'll have to see exactly what we decide to go for here. I think it would make sense to play Terran mech now. Even though ByuN doesn't really seem like a mech kind of guy. It is a very powerful strategy and one that I feel like is still not really optimized nearly as much. Rogue clearly struggling against it quite a bit as well, right? Like, he is one of the very best Zerg players in the world, and maybe lately he's been getting better at it. Now that the Esports World Cup is behind us, and he's seen how the likes of, for example, Serral deal with Terran mech. It's kind of funny. A lot of the Terran players preparing to play Terran mech, and then Serral just absolutely demolishes it, and they have to go back to the drawing board at the biggest tournament of the year. Not a great time to be forced to experiment again, so maybe Terran players are a little bit hesitant at this level at the very least to play mech too frequently, but I still think it's a good idea to mix it in. Either way, gasless opener for Rogue. Gasless build into a very quick expansion right over here, I would imagine. Or, alternatively, a little bit further up at the Golden Minerals. This is a nice map for, like, double Evo Chamber on top of the high ground and a Roach Warren. So you can actually wall this section of the map in entirely. Difficult for Terran to really push up there. And then, obviously, well, Zerg only has, like, one line of attack they have to worry about. Roach is, in general, very nice if you only have a little bit of space that you need to be concerned with. Although, maybe all of this is irrelevant as... Huh. So this is a very specific thing that Rogue has done here. Are we gonna do the Solar build? Oh, remember that Solar series I casted recently? Where Solar did the exact same thing to great success. I think it was Solar, wasn't it? Actually, I need to look this up real quick. One sec. I found it. It's Solar versus Clem. Rogue, clearly having seen that particular match, decides to give it a try himself. So the idea behind this is that Zerg has a lot of 2-base openers too, right? Like, all of them are kind of questionable, but Rogue is not somebody that generally that shies away from it. He's very good at playing 2-base Muta, for example. Rogue likes to mix that in as one of the very few Zergs, actually. So if you're ByuN in this kind of spot, you haven't seen a third over here, you haven't seen a third over there, you haven't, well, checked this side yet, but he's going to do so in a moment, I'm sure. He will see that there's no third anywhere. So therefore, it's likely 2-base Muta. So what do you do as a Terran? You prepare against 2-base Muta. Maybe a Knight is follow-up, who knows? But you decide to basically prepare against some sort of 2-base shenanigans from the Zerg. And then in the meantime, as the Zerg, you're just playing 3-base. Except your 3rd base is in a very weird spot. We're sneaking out the drones. This is the most dangerous part of the game so far here for Rogue. And he's going to be able to get there unharmed. Unscouted. ByuN sending in the boys right now. Roach Warren is coming up. Evo Chamber is also building. ByuN's going to check the high ground. Oh, no. We have Cloaking coming up as well for the Banshee right now. Cancels it again. Maybe he will make a Banshee still, because it's very good defensively, too. Not usually why you build it, but it's still nice to have. So this was a disaster when Clem went up against it. When Solar did it against him. There is still a chance, however, that ByuN is making the assumption that the third base is over here. He's looking around. And soon the Viking is gonna confirm exactly, well, what is not going on. This is one of those spots where you're actually better off not scouting. Now ByuN knows. He knows that it's a 2-base opener, which it isn't. Now, did you see the Clem game, ByuN? Did you see the Clem game? He's gonna try and get the gold base scout over here on the left. But so far, I don't believe he has seen the Clem game. So ByuN is preparing. He's pivoting for a 2-base defense. In the meantime, Rogue is going into a 4th hatchery, which ByuN now believes to be the 3rd. And this becomes a giant mismatch. Like, basically, ByuN is preparing to defend against an all-in that isn't coming. So what do you do right now as Rogue on the back of this? Honestly, you can just do whatever you like. At some point, ByuN is going to use those units that he's been making to defend. Look, he's even adding on a bunker right now, which you normally never do at this phase in the game. At some point, you can use the units, I guess, to go on a counterattack, and Rogue will need to hold that. Alternatively, Rogue can just go for, like, the classic, yeah, +1 roach speed timing attack. I kind of love this. It's so clever. Purposefully, by the way, not spreading creep from this section of the map. Just really making it appear. Yeah. Oh, there was a drone moving there, but did he see? Maybe he did see. That was within vision of a, I don't know, like a tenth of a second there. If ByuN blinked, like literally, he may have missed it. If he had to sneeze, he definitely didn't see that. There's no way. So this looks to me like a regular follow-up here for Rogue. Powering up to full 4-base economy now. And I think he's transitioning towards like a Hive and then probably Ultras. Okay, this is cute. Albeit expensive. Little Zergling scout over here is going to reveal that there's still no Lings with speed. Rogue already going for a 5th. ByuN sees that one. No, he doesn't see that one either. Ay. Maybe he's going to turn around and at least spot that something's going on. Like, that will give him at least some sort of info that there is indeed that base as well in the far bottom left. Hellion run by is decent enough, I suppose, but at this point, killing drones is by no means the end of the world. Roaches are still out here. Yeah, ByuN is just completely misreading this. So, the problem here for ByuN is that he believes he's massively ahead right now. He believes that he doesn't have to do anything because the ball is in Rogue's court. Like, if we're playing 3-base versus 3-base, whatever, right? We can chill. He is just relaxing, sitting behind his row of siege tanks. Whereas in reality, Rogue is ahead economically. He's ahead, well, upgrade-wise, ish, sort of, maybe not. Anyways, he's ahead in tech. He's gonna have a banger of an army. And what we have seen so far this year, right, is that Ultras are extremely good for Terran to counter if they have the counter. So, if you have Liberators and Ghosts, Ultras do very little. But if you don't, if you're still under the assumption that that is not the follow-up from the opponent, and you're sort of caught off guard, there it is, against an Ultralisk Cavern, it can deal so much damage. We need to see a Ghost Academy as soon as the 4th base lands. Like right now is when we need to queue this up. Looks like ByuN may finally be able to connect the dots though. If he sees some of these mineral fields, he might notice that some of them are skinny, but I don't think you'd be looking for that. Barracks 6, 7, and 8 are just about to finish here for ByuN. Yeah, I mean, he still has a good economy, right? My main concern, I suppose, is when those Ultras first hit the battlefield. Because if Terran is not prepared for it, they can just massacre the army. There it goes. Chitinous plating is the upgrade that you need before you can attack. So ByuN has, until chitinous plating is done, the time to really get some army going against it. Either that or Ultras will still just get memed by Marine Marauder. We see that from time to time as well. Where I hype up the Ultras, and sometimes they just straight up win the game, and in other games, it just doesn't do anything. Even when Terran doesn't have the counter. But usually... No, Fungal? I think Fungal. Yeah, you Fungal. Ooh, nicely done. Expensive. Zergling run by in the meantime. Also a push right over here, straight through the center of the map. That's gonna deny a base, I would imagine, or maybe not. A lot of Ling Bane is still available. Ultras are coming up. Nice splits right there from ByuN, but now the rest of the Zerg army has arrived. He does snipe one of the infestors at the cost of 3 Marauders. I'm afraid for what happens when these big boys hit the battlefield. In ByuN's mind, Rogue is still minutes away from that being available. He fires up to +3/+3. He hasn't even added on a Ghost Academy. He hasn't even added on a second starport. We already have a preparation here for Rogue to get some Corruptors out. In case Mass Liberator hits the battlefield. There it finally is. Okay, Rogue, we have a big timing window right now. Do we utilize it, though? Because it's still sketchy. Engaging with Ultras off creep. I mean, now he sees what's going on here, too. Okay, sniping the Ultra Cavern would actually not be a bad idea. Either way, the Marines are still going to enter the mineral line and deal a lot of damage. Ghost Academy or... Ghost Academy? Ultra Cavern. That's not a Ghost Academy, Loco. Ultra Cavern is going to get sniped. 12 drones to boot as well. Here's the big attack, though, from Rogue. And this is the one that has me concerned. Fungal growth as well to prevent the retreat on some of those units. Okay, well, so far, ByuN is sort of making this work. Ish, sort of. Yeah, well, now the Ultras are starting to break into the natural expansion. That bunker from earlier on, when he still believed he was going up against like a 2-base all-in, it also gets shut down, and now the natural expansion gets utterly overwhelmed. Brilliant strategic game here from Rogue. Yeah, doing a great job with that proxy hatchery in the far bottom left, inspired by Solar. Credit where credit is due. Inspired by Solar in that series he played against Clem. Very similar situation, though. When Terran is not prepared properly against Ultras, they tend to deal a lot of damage. It's mostly the tanking and the amount of time you spent, like, microing against them, right? Like, obviously, if you're microing, you're not, well, macroing, right? It's difficult to do everything at the same time. When you're running around, your units aren't firing. Rogue, with a very intelligent game, obtains the win in the best of 3. One more? Let's do one more. One more best of 3. This time around, it's a Zerg versus Protoss. Spawning right here in the bottom right-hand corner. Playing with the blue Zerg pieces. Of course, we have none other than Rogue. His opponent all the way in the opposite corner, playing with the red Protoss pieces. A man who really impressed me earlier this year, but I haven't seen as many of his games as of late. We're looking inside of the main base of Lemon. Now, Lemon has been getting significantly better over the last, I want to say 2-3 years or so. I think about 2 years ago, he was maybe considered like top 500 in the world. Something along those lines, so respectable, but certainly not amongst the very best players in the world. His current ranking, according to Aligilek, is rank 48. So he's a Taiwanese Protoss player who is now going to be forced to deal with some of the top-level Zerg's shenanigans. All right, let's see. What do we do against this sort of thing? Technically speaking, proxy hatcheries are a quote-unquote solved build order, but it's still highly annoying to play against, and I kind of love this here from Rogue. So Rogue went for his opponent's natural and then into his own natural. This is natural into spawning pool eventually. Mostly just a skill check here, right? From the Zerg player. How well do you deal with this sort of thing? Do you get tournament nerfs? Another big thing, of course. It's very different to play a classic old ladder game against a random opponent, and then suddenly you're playing a tournament match. You're invited to play in front of an audience, right? Albeit an online audience. You're going up against a previous world champion of StarCraft. I mean, all of that sort of information can pile up together and make the game extremely hard for you. You know that Rogue is also a very creative Zerg, somebody that doesn't really shy away from doing whatever he needs to. So, let's see how much damage we can do. Oh, really, Lemon? Proxy gate? Yeah. We are going for what looks like a warp gate all-in. Is this gonna be a classic good old 4-gate? I think we should be making a few stalkers here to get rid of that scouting overlord so you can actually get the warp gate research done. I don't mind it. It's certainly risky though here from Lemon, but you know what? When life gives you lemon, I guess it's plural. Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense. Lemonade is also a weird plural, I suppose. When life gives you lemons, turn it into cheese. When life gives you a sour taste, turn it into... I don't know. There's a lot of cheese going on. Oh, we're going Twilight Council as well. Wait, what? Oh, he got spotted. Oh, that's a disaster. A Zergling has found it. He wanted to go Glaive to Depths. Well, he will go Glaive to Depths. The problem is now Rogue can prepare. Spinecrawler is coming up, which is really not what he needs. But the main problem here for Lemon is that he was hoping he would go up against the Zerg with a third hatchery and maybe, like, I don't know, a bunch of other stuff on the back of it too. A lot of drones. Now suddenly, Rogue is going to be able to shut this down. And it's going to make the entire game very awkward. What do you do now, Lemon? You have turned lemons into cheese. But then your opponent saw the cheese coming in from a mile away. Okay, well, the creep has now completely disappeared, so I guess we can try and make an expansion. Oh, of course. Dark Shrine it is. Oh, this is a great catch, though, here from Rogue. He shuts down some of the adepts here in the middle of the map before Resonating Glaives is... Okay, Lemon just throws in the towel. Fair enough. Can't really blame him, to be honest. Next up, we find ourselves on Incorporeal. This time around, Lemon has decided to go for the Probe Scout right away. I mean, honestly, I don't really mind the previous game too much. I think strategically what he was doing was very smart. He just got spotted, and sometimes that happens, right? When you decide to go for an all-in, when you want to play with fire, sometimes you will, well, accidentally burn your fingers, and hard to really judge anybody's skill level off of that previous game. Rogue, though, anticipating the movement there very nicely. He's going to be forced to take the third base now as his very first expansion. It won't get blocked. But at the very least, Rogue did not build the base where he wanted it to be. I'm assuming Lemon will just go for the normal 20 supply Cybercore and Nexus. It's the one thing that makes the most sense, but I'm curious to see what his follow-up is going to be. Do we just play good old Skytles? Do we just play Stargate? What do we do? Okay. Here's the natural expansion starting up right now. Yep. So he's cutting a worker right at this point in the game. Usually you halt worker production here at 20 for just a moment. 20 is perfect because it means that you have 3 into 1 gas geyser. And obviously you can have 16 right over here. You can have 1 on the low ground as well for building all of the stuff. He actually decided to pull 1 out of gas and then he scouted a worker on the other side of the map. But long story short, it's the right number to be cutting a worker with. So he completes the wall off with a pylon. Always a little bit risky. Especially against somebody like Rogue. I feel like Rogue is looking at this and immediately thinks, ooh, Banelings? At least that's what goes through my mind if I'm the Zerg in a game like this. Not the case, though. Rogue not taking the bait. Leaving the gas geyser empty. Just mined 104 gas. 4 too much by accident, but he's got enough here for metabolic boost, and on the back of this, we go into the Stargate. It's the main downside, right? When you build that second pylon at the front, Rogue knows, of course, at this point in the game, there's only going to be a maximum of 2 pylons. And if you see both of the pylons right next to each other, well, there's no reason to send the Overlord through the main base. Whatever the tech of the Zerg is, or whatever the tech of the Protoss rather is going to be, is going to get scouted by the Zerg just like that. Just pay attention here to the Ovi, and everything is going to be okay. Should be oracles. Although the Zerglings, okay. Bit of a skill check. They did sneak around the side. Yeah. The Adepts are nowhere to be seen, right? I mean, they're on the other side of the map. It is 2 of them. Defensive links were also made, though, for Rogue over there. Which does mean that the worker number of the Zerg is low. Lemon should be able to pick up on that quite nicely. A bunch of the Zerglings do sneak around the side, but an Oracle is going to be available soon. Nice little bit of multitasking here, honestly, by the Taiwanese Protoss. He's doing a good job. 4 drones down. Loses a pylon at the front, but very acceptable. Okay, we do need to address these lings in the main. I'm a bit surprised that the Oracle decided not to clean this up first. Oh, it is cleaning it up right now. It was rallied out onto the map. Okay. He does notice that in time, too. A little bit of crisis management, but the crisis management was good. Rogue still goes up here against a pre-4-minute third base. Shouldn't be enough links to really get the counter going. And yeah, Rogue is finally going to be able to catch up in the worker count. Twilight Council. Okay. Second Oracle is going to be available here in just a moment. And already the first one has how many kills? 6. Not bad at all. Skipping the Spore Crawler over at the third. Evo Chamber in the meantime inside of the main base. 3 queens, though, are going to be enough. What about the Spore Crawler over here? Okay, that one is done. Lemon sees it. Kills the drone. Nope. Quickly morphed into a Spore Crawler there just to keep it alive for a little bit longer. Second Oracle has been on defense duty, so that one's going to be hanging out right over here. I'm assuming we'll go for Blink. There we go. Yeah, Lemon honestly playing really good. Gets the Creep Tumor. Don't lose the Oracle. Don't lose the Oracle. +1 melee here is quite late. And Rogue did commit to making a lot of Zerglings early on, right? And that's the problem for him. When you make that many links, you don't really kill much with it. You do put yourself behind a little bit. I'm missing a pylon at the front, though. We certainly should have one right over here. May still need some defensive tools available. Either way, Stalker is going to be used here to shut down the Overlord. Lair finally begins. 5.5 minutes on the Lair, though, is very late. Good chance here that Rogue is going to be skipping the Roach Warren. Big influx of links, but Oracle should be able to quickly take care of that. Blink is not going to be far off either. Okay. 4th hatchery in the meantime in the top right. Now, the +1 melee is not going to be done by the time that Blink will be done. But I don't know if Lemon is going to be able to achieve much here with the next move out. I mean, the 4th base in the top right-hand corner is quite difficult to reach with the way that this section of the map is laid out. If it was over here on the left side, I think it would have been easier for him to attack. But he's still going to test the waters, which I like. Do we have a unit on hold position in the wall off? We certainly do. We have a shield battery over at the third. +1 melee, though, is going to be done very soon. And that's going to be a big power spike, but good control. Revelation. Yep, Revelation to reveal the Creep Tumors. It's a very delicate game for Protoss, right? That's just the nature of ZVP at this point in the meta. Links are going around the side. +1 melee, not yet done. Where's that other Oracle? Oracle shows up. Nicely done. Excellent management here so far by Lemon. Going toe-to-toe with a world-class Zerg is not easy. Templar Archives, forts on the back of this. Rogue feeling forced to cut a corner. Fourth hatchery is likely gonna go down. He's thinking about going for a full counterattack. Still units in the wall off though. A little bit of indecisiveness. Decides to split. Recall on the majority of the stalkers. They'll be arriving back home over at the third base. And this is looking quite problematic right now for Rogue, who's playing 3 base versus 3 base against a Protoss player that has more workers than he does. Storm together with the ground. Yep, ground here with charge. We have the Baneling speed upgrade coming up too. So Rogue is going full Hydraling Bane. Now this is a major skill check again, right? This should never work. These are gonna be slow Banelings waddling towards the mineral line. It's almost a disrespectful attempt. You know what I mean? Like, this is almost rude. It's like, I don't even care. I don't even care. You can have 4 Banelings. It doesn't bother me. I can lose them. I'm still fine. Doesn't achieve anything with it. The Storms are gonna have to be on point, though. No Chrono on the Storm, but a lot of Protoss players don't do that on purpose. The upgrade is so critical that I always like to see the Chrono on it, but little Zergling is going to check the right side of the map. Top right-hand corner is going to be remade here. Stasis ward still set up. Okay, we are going to need to see a warp in. Yep, nicely done. Storm over here would be pretty juicy too. Okay, High Templar, careful with the High Templar! Ugh. Ooh, and you know what? That now means that we're not going to see Templar with Storm available for the attack. I think Rogue is going to go for a push pretty soon. Is he not? I don't think we have a Knight as Worm. No, he's just scouting here with an Overseer. Okay, Lemon wants to strike while the iron is hot. Energy is gone, though, on the Oracles, and he is going so deep onto Creep. No Storm available. Okay, we have a couple High Templar trailing behind. I don't love this movement here. I feel like this is extremely risky. Zealots are split off from the pack. I think he can chill. He's really not in a hurry. But he's also not really wanting to give Rogue too much leeway. I guess you can't really blame him for that. Okay, Observer shows up. We really need some additional High Templar with energy. There's 4 Templar somewhere. Okay, this one got recharged. Not bad. Still a huge Zerg army, though. The Storms need to be good. The Storms need to be good. The first one is kind of eh. Second one over there in the back is pretty decent. Is there enough, though, for the Protoss player to hold on here? He blinks back. Arkle's in the front as well to soak up as much damage as possible. These are Lings and Hydras with +1/+1. But Lemon holds, it seems. Yep, nice Storm. Okay. Now he's playing 4 base versus 4 base. I mean, there is that base over there in the top right, but it's not really mining. Okay, blinks after the Hydras. Lurker Den together with an Infestation Pit on the back of this. Dude, every time I see Lemon play, he's better than last time. Obviously, at some level, right, at some point, the skill level becomes a little bit stagnant. Because when you are Serral, for example, how much better can you really get? But there's noticeable improvement, and every single time I see Lemon play, it's noticeably cleaner. Now, this is a good interception here from Rogue. Gets the Prism. Let's see. No High Templar in the mix here. He morphed all of the High Templar into Archons, which means that he's very focused on just blinking with the Stalkers. High Templar does come around the site. It did have 2 Storms. Hydras against, well, just a bunch of Stalkers. Aggressive blink forward. I don't know about that one. Drones are going to get pulled from the mineral line too, and I think Lemon may have just gone a little bit overzealous. Rogue probably having more units here than he's used to when he plays ladder games. Just squeezing a tad more juice out of the Zerg army. That was an overextension from the Protoss for sure. Losing a lot of the expensive units. I think we can kind of chill. We can just have like 6 Templar with Storm energy. And then we can go fishing for some good damage. Thing is, he wants to hit before Lurkers are out. Warp in here to complete the wall off again. Stasis ward as well. There is an attempt for a 5th. But I don't think Lemon needs to feel like he's in such a hurry. Yeah. It shifts the dynamic of the matchup a lot, right? As soon as the Lurkers are out, as soon as they get upgraded, suddenly the match can feel so difficult for Protoss. So I think Lemon is trying to make sure that it well, ends before that point. May have just prevented himself from being able to do so, though. Yeah, forced to go into a fleet beacon now. Second robo facility as well. Okay, so maybe we want to go ground into a mothership. Is that the idea? Maybe ground with some mothership support. Hive at this point is done. I would love to see, yep, those Lurker upgrades coming up. Interestingly enough, Rogue going for the burrow upgrade rather than the ranged upgrade first. Normally, it's always seismic spines first. Zerglings do get a nice rep around here. Both players trading out some minerals. Yeah. And this is another denial of the base. Now it's starting to be a little bit painful. He's going triple robo. Triple robo mama ship. I think that's the plan. Okay. Rogue forced to go back to the drawing board though this game, right? He was hoping to get a quick 2-0 win within like 6 minutes. Didn't happen. And now suddenly he's made the game very tough for himself. But the creep spread is still looking ridiculously good. And that's what it's been giving him so much vision. Every time Protoss moves out, he sees it coming in from a mile away. Now he realizes that the Lurker Den, though, didn't go for the seismic spines yet. Very important to get that going soon. Nice scout as well with the Overseer. Overseer is going to see indeed that the Mama ship is building. Adrenal glands coming up as well for Rogue now. +2 melee is still nice. And this has slowed the game down a lot. So this wasn't the plan for either of the two, but because of the way that the game happened, they're forced to make the transition. Hats off right here to Lemon, though, for splitting up his units like this. Oh, here go the Lurkers. This is the scariest thing. This is exactly what he was trying to avoid. Suddenly, there's Lurkers in the intersection, right? Right in the middle. He's turning the intersection into a roundabout. It's Lemon's worst nightmare. Oh, immediately Rogue strikes as well over on that base on the right. Links flood into the natural expansion and the main. He does blink the Lurkers, and that's nice and all. But in the meantime, he's being torn apart from the inside out, and GG gets cold. Well done by Lemon, actually. Like, I thought that this series was going to be more one-sided than it was. I actually think that Lemon was winning this second game. He was doing really well. He was winning until he wasn't. He got a little bit overly aggressive, didn't have storms there in that army, tried to hit before Lurkers are out. Can't really blame him. But I think this is the type of game, though, that does prove that players like Lemon are, you know, names to, at the very least, keep in your mind. Because they are consistently getting better. And, I mean, in Lemon's case, I think he went from, like, rank 500 or so to now top 50 in about 2 years' time. We'll have to see how much more improvement there is to come, but Lemon certainly has been looking strong, but it is Rogue who obtains the victory here. 2-0.